Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. My name is Allie, and welcome to the top comment where I read and react to insane internet chaos in the form of Reddit stories. So if you like this type of content, please don't forget to subscribe. It's totally free and it means a whole lot to me. Have you ever gotten revenge on somebody, maybe in the most petty of ways possible? If so, you might have a lot in common with the people that we're going to be talking about today, because these stories are all about petty revenge. So let's get into it. All right, story number 1 comes from r/petty revenge, and it says, "Okay, Dan, you want to give my number out to strangers? I have a really memorable phone number, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 level distinct, so people often think I'm making it up when I give it out. For years now, some businessman named Dan, I'll leave out his last name, has been giving out my number to clients or people he doesn't want to deal with just to brush them off. I've usually been polite when these people call, just letting them know they have the wrong number. Over time, I've picked up a surprising amount of info about Dan just by talking to the caller, such as his full name, job title, the company he works for, and city he is in. He's a very real person. I have never wanted to get involved or reach out to him directly, though. But after years of this nonsense, I have officially had enough. Lately, when someone calls asking for Dan, I tell them he moved to Arizona because of some legal issues and embezzlement. And if they ask if there's a new contact at that company, I say the whole operation is under investigation. I really hope this rumor makes its way back to him, because Dan, stop giving out my number. Seriously." Oh my God, that is well deserved. I hate spam calls and spam texts. And for anybody out there that's going to say that this guy should have just changed his number, no, Dan needs to stop giving out his number to random strangers and deal with them like a big boy. Clearly, he is a grown man with a fully developed frontal cortex, and he is still out here making childish decisions. So no, OP, don't change your phone number. I love that you got revenge on this guy. This was so well deserved. You know, this story is new as of a day ago, so I don't think we have any updates yet, but we are going to dive into the comments. The top comment on this one says, "An old employee at my company, I never met them, gave out his old work number to people he didn't want to deal with. Since I inherited that number, it was not fun. At first, I was nice and thought it was just people he didn't talk to, but after giving it a while, he was obviously still giving them my number intentionally. I started telling people, oh, Michael hasn't had that number for years. He only gives it out to people he doesn't actually want to talk to. Of course, then I get the calls, and I have to tell you that Michael thinks so little of you that he gave out his old number intentionally to avoid you. It's a move for sure." Remarkably, after 3 to 4 times of that, he stopped giving his old number out. Wow, at least you caught him before it had gone years down the rabbit hole like it did with OP of this story. That's pretty funny. I mean, you're not telling a lie by telling them why he gave out the wrong number, and honestly, it's not going to come back on you. It's going to come back on the idiot who decided to give out the wrong number in the first place. You don't have to give people the wrong number intentionally, because they will find out, especially if you have people that are all for petty revenge like these two. The next comment says, "Wow, that's devious and an inventive way to retaliate. Kudos on thinking outside the box, although maybe it's time Dan got a taste of real deceit." The next comment says, "Why stop there? Go wilder. He is currently on a swingers cruise, or he was caught selling meth and is on the run. Last I heard, he is under investigation for insert crime. I'm not sure. Maybe he's even at a Diddy party." The list goes on. The next comment says, "My dad's old phone number was 1 digit off from the phone number keypad from a local volleyball bar. Girls were constantly calling around 7:30 to 10 asking if their boyfriend was there. At first, my dad wouldn't tell them it's a wrong number, but many of these girls just wouldn't listen. They insisted that my dad was just covering for their boyfriend and would start yelling at him. Finally, dad started saying, 'Oh, sure, he's here, but he's busy talking to Cheryl,' or whatever random girl name he could think of at that moment. Donna, Michelle, Caroline, Angelique, you name it. He could hear the jealous girlfriend on the phone absolutely explode with rage, demanding that the boyfriend be put on the line immediately. But dad just said, "Sorry, we're really busy right now," and would hang up. Man, your dad's a savage. That's funny. Who knows how many girls went storming over to that place looking for their boyfriends, hoping to catch him cheating with Charisse or whoever. I actually had to look up what a volleyball bar was because I quite frankly had no idea. And apparently it's just a bar where people go and play volleyball, but I'm honestly not surprised that it exists. And I'm honestly not surprised that girlfriends are looking for their scummy boyfriends out at the volleyball bar. That seems very on brand. All right, the last comment says, why not give people his actual work number and maybe even the company address? Imagine how confused he would be if people started calling him saying some nice person gave me his real number when they gave him a fake one. Yeah, you could definitely give out his real number as long as it's a work line. Don't go and be petty enough to give out somebody's personal phone number unless they already gave out your personal phone number, in which case you're really just getting back at them and that's okay. But if someone's giving out your work number and you give out their personal number, you are stepping into a-hole territory and we don't love that. All right, Dan, I hope you're out there watching, bro. Stop giving out fake numbers. Take on the responsibility yourself. All right. The next story also comes from r/petty revenge, and it says, revenge served cold. I've got a great example of petty revenge. Not mine, but my late partner's. I was thinking about it the other day and figured it definitely belonged here. He used to work as a bartender in a modern bar, lots of cool IPAs, open to all ages, and even had a toy box for people who brought their kids. And in that toy box was a kazoo. One afternoon, a pair of parents let their kid get their hands on said kazoo right at the start of the day, and the kid did not let it go, like ever. These parents managed to find a table furthest from the bar out on the terrace, and their kids spent hours blowing that thing nonstop, annoying the hell out of everyone else while the parents didn't lift a finger the entire time. The afternoon went by, the evening rolled in around 8 p.m. They suddenly remembered they had a child. They came back, picked her up, dropped off the kazoo back in the toy box, and headed for the car. And that's when the petty revenge hit. My partner grabbed the kazoo, caught up with them just before they reached the car, handed it to the kid with a big smile, and said she seemed to love it so much. The look on the parents' faces, too polite to say no, was worth every screechy moment of that noisy afternoon. So yeah, not my own story, but I think it deserves to be told. You know, I'm very glad that you came here to post this story. I think this is lovely. Noisy toys and children are a whole different breed of migraine that I personally cannot take. But you know, if you have some really bad parents that just want the bartenders to take care of their kid, apparently, I'm assuming this story didn't take place in America, because leaving your child at a bar like that is, I don't even think kids are allowed in bars. I mean, maybe if it was like a restaurant bar, I guess, but in terms of like a bar, that's absolutely not. Kids are not allowed in those. So I imagine this is somewhere else, but petty revenge nonetheless, because you just know that kid wailed on that kazoo the entire ride home in a tiny little car where there's no place to escape the screeching, bleeding ear migraine that I'm sure that kid gave them. Rightfully so. Take care of your damn kids. All right, the top comment on this one says, toys that make noise should be against the Geneva contract. They deserved it. You're very right. Like I said, kids' toys that make noise. Personally, I have about a 5-minute timer on my neurospicy brain before it just goes pew. And I can't take it anymore. So I completely understand where you're at with it. Even sometimes my dog toys get a little annoying, but my dogs are just so cute that I don't really care. To be fair, I don't understand why literal children would be allowed in a bar to begin with. Yeah, I completely agree with that as well. I mean, that's kind of what I was saying earlier, but there are different countries with different rules, so maybe it was okay. But nonetheless, if you're going to bring your kid out to a bar or any restaurant or anything like that, as a former bartender and server myself, please do not bring noisy toys. Have y'all ever heard of a coloring book before? Did you know that those exist? Did you know that you can easily pack one of those for your kid to do in a restaurant? Don't bring out all the booming and banging toys that sit there and make all the noise in the world. You're bound to piss somebody off. The next comment says, these toys are only acceptable when they're gifts from aunts and uncles. Like the time I gave my 3-year-old niece a toy microphone that played a couple of lines from Let It Go from Disney kidneys frozen every single time the button was pressed. This was like 10 years ago, and I don't think my sister has forgiven me yet. You played the long game, honey. You waited until she had a kid just to get revenge, and I can definitely appreciate that. Someone replies to this comment and says, many years ago, when my brother started having children, he informed me that if I ever gave toys that involved noise or water, he would get even. And I knew how diabolical he could get, so I respected that. Revenge is a dish best served cold, and I am so here for it. The next comment says, certain noisy toys in my house take a very special battery that we don't have right now. There you go. Genius. That is a smart move. Protect your peace without fully crushing your kids' hopes and dreams. The next comment says, I have a buddy who traveled a lot for work. One week he stays home with his wife, a stay-at-home mom, and is traveling. When she comes home, he says, honey, you wouldn't believe it. All of the dozens of kids' toys were out of batteries, so I replaced them. She was so pissed. Oh my God. You get a D- for that parenting skill. You should just know at that point. So did he replace them while she was on vacation, or did he replace them right before she came home? Because if he replaced those batteries right before she came home, I think that she should divorce him, because that makes it sound like he hates his wife. Y'all are so messy with this petty revenge. This is too funny. The last comment says, we are childless and gave our nieces and nephews musical instruments from foreign travels. My siblings deserved this. I mean, hey, if you're gonna play the long game and you're gonna wait till they have kids to get revenge for your childhood, sometimes the long form revenge is better than the immediate revenge. Alrighty, the next story comes from r/revenge stories, and it says, I put my flatmate's dirty dishes in a vent above his bed. I, a 22-year-old man, am a graduate school student, and I have a condo which I lease out to 3 other guys. We all have our own bedrooms and have a shared kitchen and a lounge. I have been close with 2 of the guys for years and recently met the flatmate in question, who I'll call Ethan. I met Ethan in class, and he seemed like a nice guy and was generally entertaining, so when he mentioned to me that he broke up with his girl that he'd been staying with and didn't really have a stable living situation, I said he could move into my free room as long as he pays rent. He agreed, and it was great for a couple of months, but then I'd noticed there would be a lot more dirty dishes in the sink that wouldn't be done. For reference, I have a dishwasher, and there is a rule to do your own dishes. I'm not a neat freak or anything, but dishes in particular are a huge pet peeve for me. I noticed that most of the dishes were Ethan's, so I brought it up to him once, and he said he would do better, but not much changed. So one day I unscrewed the vent above his bed and put some dirty dishes up there and kept doing it over and over a period of a couple of weeks. Eventually he figured it out and got really pissed because he's been using air fresheners and incense, and the smell still wouldn't come out. He was a great guy otherwise, so I still want to be friends with him, but I just can't figure out how to get this man's dishes in the dishwasher. I'm gonna correct you on a couple of things here, OP. First of all, never live with somebody you don't know. Be so for real. Second of all, this is not a man that we're discussing. This is an absolute child who is probably used to mommy doing everything for him. I guarantee this is probably why his girlfriend kicked him out, because speaking from past experience, that's disgusting, and that will drive anybody crazy. Dirty dishes are disgusting. They stink. They can grow mold, which is dangerous to your health. And you have a dishwasher too. That's a whole nother thing. Rinse the plate, stick it in the damn machine, turn it on. It's that easy. This drives me nuts. My ex was this way, and I was the only one working. Like, he did not have a job. This grown man did not have a job, and he refused to clean. He refused to cook. He refused to do the dishes. And so one day when I came home from work, I just got so fed up, and I was like, you're gonna do these dishes and you're gonna do them right now. I took my dogs out for a walk or something, but I came home and he's like, oh, the dishes are done. They're just soaking. So I go outside and my camping cooler is full of dirty, soggy, disgusting, mold-grown, filthy dishes. And I absolutely snapped. I think that is what turned me into the type of person that I am now, where if even one thing is out of order in my house, I start to get anxiety. Also, OP, I want to call you out on something. You should have just put the damn dishes on the man's bed. Don't put them in the vent. That could be disastrous for the rest of your house. Like, I'm so serious. Mold is horrible. Mold is so gross. It's a huge allergen for a lot of people. I myself am extremely allergic to mold, and you basically could have poisoned your entire house with mold poisoning, which is not fun. So I love the revenge you took. Maybe use your brain a little bit more next time, but let's see what the comments have to say. The top comment says, I had a housemate like that in college. We put his dirty dishes into his pantry cabinet and left them there. He eventually did the dishes when he ran out. We each had our own set. Yeah, that's smart. You probably shouldn't be sharing dishes with this man. And if he can't do his dishes, he needs to be eating off of paper plates. This is really gross. This is making my skin crawl. The next comment says, he either does his part to clean or he's out, period. You are not his mother. Exactly. You are not his mommy. Don't clean up after him, because quite frankly, all you're doing here is enabling him to keep going. So I would kick him to the curb and say, bye-bye. If he can't learn to do dishes, if you're 22, I would imagine he's probably around the same age as you. And that is well old enough to have a common concept of shared spaces and shared chores. And you should not even have to tell him to do his own dishes. The fact that he's just not, get rid of him, kick him out. You don't want to be friends with him. I don't care if he's cool, honey. There's 8 billion people on this earth. Go be friends with one of them who matches the same standards as you and has the same maturity level, because this man is disgusting. The next comment says, that's a great way to get ants in your vent. Just kick him out already. It's not your job to train him. That's 3 people, including myself, that want you to kick him out. So you are officially outnumbered, OP. He's got to go. The next comment says, gross. You want to invite a rodent or insect infestation into your own home? Should have just put them in a bag or a box and left them on his bed. So message loud and clear and they would be done immediately. Yeah, you really should have put them on his bed. Don't put it in your vents next time. I didn't even think about the ants and the roaches and everything. That is so gross. The last comment says, and now you know why the girlfriend kicked him out. That is exactly what I said. I completely agree. I would have gotten rid of this man a long time ago. You should just, I mean, if you don't want to kick him out, you need to sit him down and have a conversation and say, do your dishes. I'm not your mom. Say it just like that to him, you know? Don't give him the chance to sit there and say, oh, well, I don't know how to do dishes. Rinse them, put them in the dishwasher. It's so easy. It is so basic. I have no sympathy for grown men who act like babies. But I hope your revenge was worth it, and I hope he gets his life together. And if not, bye-bye. Kick him to the curb. Take him out with the rest of his dirty, funky dishes. All right, the last petty revenge story that we are going to read today also comes from r/petty revenge, and it says, my neighbor takes up all the parking spaces on the street, so I made friends with the birds. Simple petty revenge. I have a neighbor who takes up all the free parking on our street and in front of my home with his trucks. 8 or 10 of them. He has also done lots of things to personally annoy me, like drive his dirt bikes through my front yard and letting his dog crap there right in front of me. So I befriended the local family of crows by feeding them their favorite things. Now I will occasionally see 5 or 6 crows waiting patiently in the trees in front of my house, crapping and looking especially creepy, but surprisingly not making a whole lot of noise to give away our secret to the other nicer neighbors. They have not crapped on my car in my driveway once, not one single time in all the past months I've been treating them. The trees mostly cover the street area anyways. Edit. If you know crows, they are legions, and if my neighbor decides to retaliate, there will surely be a full-on war. I love that you went full-blown Snow White against him and made friends with a murder of crows. That is just the best revenge story I have ever read. That is the pettiest of all the petty revenges, and I really appreciate your effort in this. And I'm sure the crows do too. Crows and ravens are incredibly, beautifully smart creatures. I mean, I just think that they're one of my favorite birds. They're so smart. They're so sweet. I used to feed them outside of the pot shop that I worked at, and they brought me a coin one time. It was the only thing I ever received from them after like months of feeding them, but it was really cool. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some of these comments. The top comment says, how Machiavellian you are to involve a murder of crows in your revenge plot. The next comment says, I have a crow army that patrols my whole neighborhood. They chase the hawks that hang around my neighbor's chickens. They call in other crows to help sometimes, and they like the peanuts I give them. Wow, that's amazing. How wonderful. The next comment says, you might call it a murder plot. The next comment says, I bought an old fixer-upper 2 houses from the lake, huge wraparound wraparound porch with a porch swing to sit and watched the boats go by. It brought me peace as I was recovering from a year of cancer treatment. The street has a no parking more than 2 hours rule, which I love because I don't want to look at other people's cars, and other people on the street are mostly good at abiding by it. Well, apparently there's a neighbor around the corner on the lake who doesn't like the look of his car in his driveway, so he decided to start parking right in front of my eye line of the water, right on the corner of my street. So I just started walking my dog right by it on our usual route, but anytime the car was there, I'd have a few handfuls of bird seed in my pocket that I would toss under and around his car when I walked by. It took a few days, but he must have realized our street is bird territory and his driveway isn't so bad after all. I do want to befriend some crows though. Gotta up my game. That's pretty funny. Anybody who's gonna park like that definitely deserves to have revenge placed on them. And also, going back to the original story, who the hell owns 8 to 10 trucks of all things? That guy needs to have a reality check. If you have that many vehicles, my guy, go park them somewhere else. That is so obnoxious. The next comment says, get some unsalted peanuts in the shell. Being adopted by a murder of crows is awesome. Aw, that's so sweet. Maybe I'll try to start feeding them out here and make friends with them out here, and then I can give them my dog hair after I brush my dogs so that they can keep their nests warm during the winter. I just love animals. If I was a Disney princess, I would definitely be Snow White, in case you can't tell by now. All right, the last comment says, go to a thrift store and buy lots of small pieces of jewelry. They love shiny things and gifts, and keep an eye out. They like to gift back. That they do. Animals are so smart and so wonderful, and it clearly just goes to show that they know who the a-holes are in the situation. So I want to know, what was your favorite petty revenge that you heard today? And I also want to know, do you have any petty revenge stories of your own? Have you ever gotten petty revenge? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and don't forget, on Thursday we are taking it up a notch and we're going to be talking about professional revenge. So stay tuned. Love you guys. Bye.